All right, Steeler fans, it is Friday. It's time for the second half in the All Betz Are Off segment with Jeremy Betz. If you're watching on YouTube, because I put this segment on our YouTube channel, Jeremy has no image right now, and that's because I don't know what's going on. His camera was so bright. It's like
Yeah.
it was like he was shooting a shot from heaven. So
Yeah.
Jeremy, though, welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's good. I mean, it's a reflection of my personality and my overall exuberance this time of year. But yeah, not fit for human eye consumption, especially if you're watching this late at night, like in bed or something like that. It would probably wake up everybody around you. So we
That
didn't
is
want to do
true.
that to you.
That is true. Well, hey, also, Jeremy, as a golfer, happy Masters weekend. I hope you're looking forward to
Yes,
that. It's always a big weekend. Any quick thoughts on
absolutely.
that?
Well, it's my favorite golf weekend of the year. It is just one of those tournaments that you you absolutely cannot miss a second of it if you can
Yeah.
help it. And
Yeah.
I know for me, like working during the day, Thursday, Friday, obviously I track it as best as I can. But once the weekend hits, it is all Masters for me. So I cannot wait to see how it turns out. Augusta is just one of those courses too that it just looks pristine every time, and you're like,
Yep.
man, if I played on that course, I could probably shoot a 72 or a 69
No.
just as well as these guys could, right? Right?
No. No.
No.
No.
Not even close.
No. Okay. All
Uh,
right. So let's talk about the Steelers.
yeah.
In the first half, I had spoken to our source briefly this week, and he made it very clear that the Pittsburgh Steelers, not only do they not care about fan perception or public perception, which as they shouldn't, because really
Right.
while we think we know a lot and we think we're dialed in, we're not. We're not the experts. But here's what was interesting. I want to get your take on this. He also said that Aaron Rodgers, whether he signs or not, won't change their draft plans at all either way. I found that
Yeah.
very interesting. What's your take after hearing that? Again, I'll say it again, that whether Aaron Rodgers signs or doesn't, they will not change their draft plans either way.
Okay.
What's your take before I give you mine?
Yeah. So I think that's what I expected personally, is that they were going to approach this draft the way they were going to do so, the quarterback situation notwithstanding, because of the move of acquiring Mason Rudolph and bringing him back into the fold. And that just kind of, for me, solidified that the Steelers were going to pursue specific options in any direction they wanted to fill out that quarterback room. Omar Khan specifically said another free agent, and then probably a draft pick at some point in the draft. That's kind of always been my thought process. I just didn't think that it was going to be an early round prospect. So, whether Aaron Rodgers is there or not, it sounds like that the Steelers are at least doing their due diligence on all of these guys from top to bottom. And I mean, it makes sense when you have the need that they do. It just didn't run full circuit for me when I was looking at how they were prepping for 2026 and how they were approaching free agency. Kind of felt like they were putting their chips in for next year for the big swing at quarterback. I kind of felt like this year was going to be the future backup swing, if you will, or the mid-round swing, the upside swing at somebody. But Aaron Rodgers or not, I thought that was always going to be the case for Pittsburgh because he's going to be a 1 year, maybe a 2 year deal at the most if you're trying to spread out some of his cap hit.
I think it's a 1-year deal, to be honest with you. And I think that they're looking to just see if they can get 1 year out of this guy. Maybe he can get you to the postseason. Maybe you could potentially win a game. Those are maybes, but still. I looked at this and was like, wow. The one thing I thought of was I didn't think that their draft plans would change any, whether he's on the team or not. What got me was I wonder if this thing's going to drag on even longer.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying like the draft is when they got to know, like that's the deadline. When I hear this from our trusted source, and I do trust our source, it makes me think what Mike Tomlin said, which a lot of people thought was in jest down at the league owners meeting, which was, I guess training camp is the absolute time we would have to know. I'm not saying it's going to go till then, but I wouldn't
Right.
be shocked if it goes till after the draft now. What say you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is that we kind of all mocked up this fake deadline as fans, right? Or
Right.
that's even what we were hearing from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, was that they want to know by the draft so they know how to attack it. I think when it comes to the inner workings of each individual team, but specifically as Steelers fans following this team, I don't trust any of the national media resources on anything until I hear the same thing coming from a local source or from our source within the team. It's just one of those things that if you try to take the word of the national guys who are looking at a broad picture thing, or getting their source material outside of the very inner circles of the individual teams, what can you really pull from that? I think that the local guys have a lot more pull and sway, and so I've been tracking that, and it seems to be the case that Pittsburgh's willingness to wait for Aaron Rodgers could extend past the draft, and that, as you're saying, won't affect, and as our source is saying, it won't affect the Steelers' draft plans at the quarterback position.
Well, yeah, he didn't say anything specific about the quarterback position. We just assumed so. Like they're willing to look at the quarterbacks. They clearly looked at the quarterbacks in terms of, you look at the top 30 visits, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about the quarterbacks. I asked you, and again, I've been trying to give Jeremy at least one question that he knows ahead of time, so he's prepared. I asked you to give me your rankings, not Andrew's, not anyone else's, just yours. Jeremy Betz's quarterback rankings for draftable quarterbacks. If you're thinking like the quarterback from Indiana, I don't even know the dude's name. If he's not going to get drafted, we're not including him. So these are just players that you think are worthy of a draft pick. You're ranking them from the best, Cam Ward, to whatever, however many you have. So go ahead, give me your first, and we'll just rattle these off.
Yeah. So I ended up having 12 guys total that I feel like you could make a swing at in the draft and be justified in doing so based on something we've seen out of them, whether that's measurements, testing, or tape. So starting off at the top, first round talents. I kind of broke these guys into tiers too. Number 1 overall for me at quarterback is Cam Ward, obviously. And then Shedeur Sanders sneaks into my first round category here for quarterbacks. And that's not just because of the overall lack of high-end talent in this class. I think he's got some first round traits to him. I just think in a draft year where the quarterbacks were a little bit better, he would slide down into that second round conversation. But in this case, this year, he's a first round target. He's number 2 for me. And then my day 2 targets, I've got 4 of those. I've got Jackson Dart at number 3. I've got Jalen Milroe from Alabama at number 4. Then I go Will Howard, number 5, and Tyler Shuck, number 6. Those are my day 2 guys. And I like them each for different reasons. Jackson Dart's probably the most ready of those guys to provide you some type of beneficial play in every facet of the game as a quarterback, as a rookie. Now, Tyler Shuck would be the other one of those, but the age concerns drop him on the list for me because he's a little bit older prospect already. So Milroe has the highest upside of those guys, and Will Howard has the most prototypical pocket quarterback presence of that group. At his best, I think he could be a Justin Herbert type quarterback in the league, where he's got some movement ability, rushing ability, but for the most part, he's going to be a pocket passer, big arm, over the middle of the field, touch and accuracy as his calling card. And then my day 3 guys, I've got 6 more of those. I've got Kyle McCord as my top day 3 target, Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Then I like Dylan Gabriel. He's been climbing up the list a little bit for me here because of the arm strength. He's got real zip on the ball. I think he could provide backup type play with his experience in college football as well. Then I like Max Brosmer out of Minnesota. He's been a late riser for me too. I didn't really like him much, but I got into him a little bit listening to Derek Bell from Steelers Now and started looking at his film, and he's got some interesting film out there. And then I do have the Indiana kid right after Max Brosmer, Curtis Rourke, as a draftable quarterback because of the measurables: 6'5", 225, big arm, rushing ability. He's got to improve accuracy, and he's got to improve a bunch of things to be a workable quarterback in the NFL. But he's my next to last draftable guy. And then Riley Leonard. I don't know if this guy's actually going to be a quarterback, but he has enough athleticism where it's worth a draft pick to stash him on your bench, see what he can develop there, and then maybe move him into another type of role down the road because of the type of athlete he is. So those are my 12 guys that I have draftable grades on and would be willing to spend some kind of pick, rounds 1 through 7, on one of those guys.
All right. So now, hey, your rankings are your rankings. I'm not going to debate them. I think they were good anyways. If you could hand pick, so go through your list and say the Steelers are going to draft a quarterback. We don't know when, we don't know who. Marry those two together. Who would you like to see the Steelers draft, and when would they make that decision?
All right. So for me, if I'm approaching this draft for the Steelers, it's all about value at the quarterback position. So that's what I would base kind of my decision-making process on here. The earliest I'm starting to look at these guys is round 3 if I'm Pittsburgh. So that's my third round pick that I know I have, pick 83. And if he's there, I would be totally fine with taking either Jalen Milroe or Will Howard at pick 83. I think Milroe's long gone. He got a draft day invite or a draft event invite. So he's probably going, if not back into day 1 now, he's going early on day 2. But Howard would be the one. If I'm wanting a quarterback in round 3, he's the one I would like to get on my roster. The age is good. All the Steeler-like qualities that you want from a Steeler prototype quarterback: big body, big arm, winner mentality, ability to work the middle of the field. He's got all of those traits. So he would be my guy for day 2. If I'm diving, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was done. Good.
Okay. I was just going to say, if I'm diving into day 3, then I want Kyle McCord near the top of that. I want him in the 4th round. And then after that, it kind of drops off for me. If Quinn Ewers is still hanging around there in the 5th round, that's fine. I'd be fine with that. But then after those two guys, really, Jeff, I don't want to spend a pick on one of these quarterbacks when I could get still a defensive tackle or a running back that could help my team right now. That I still think that there's going to be those guys in the 4th, 5th, even 6th round of the draft at those couple positions. And so I don't know. There's a couple guys I might take a swing on. Curtis Rourke is the one I would take my 7th round swing on, just because of the upside. The start he had this last year in Indiana was really, really good. He had some early round buzz by the middle of the year, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff for him. So he would be kind of my sleeper guy in the back end of the draft that I would go for. But if I'm saying I'm comfortable with taking these 2 or 3 guys, it's Will Howard in the 3rd round, and then round 4 or 5, it's Kyle McCord or Quinn Ewers, and that's about it.
Okay. Have you checked out, I don't know if you follow John Gruden on Twitter at all?
Yeah.
Have you seen some of his quarterback camps? Like, I watched the majority of Will Howard's. I was impressed. I was impressed with a guy who's played a lot in a lot of big games, and he's your prototypical quarterback in terms of size and strength and mobility. And I was like, man, I can't believe this guy's being talked about as like a round 3 or later draft pick. Like, what am I missing with Will Howard?
If Will Howard hadn't thrown at the combine, he would be going easily in round 2, in my opinion. It was just
one bad workout at the combine is negating all the work that he did in a national championship run, and even going back to Kansas State.
Yeah, it is. It is in the scouting community. It really is. And I was just listening to some different podcasts today, and they all go back to that. They say it's not that we don't like him as a prospect, but it was just so bad at the combine that we have concerns about his ability to translate to full-time NFL routes and reading fields and stuff like that. But I go back to the tape, and I think this is a guy that should be right up there with Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart as kind of those next tier guys in this class. And when you look at what he did in big moments this last year too, I root for Ohio State, right? So we've been close to the mountaintop. We haven't gotten there. Kyle McCord wasn't the guy for us. And Will Howard comes in from K-State, and he does that. He gets you over the top. He provides the play that you need to actually win the national championship. He was the difference. And so if I'm an NFL team looking for a guy that has some of those qualities, he's my guy. He really is.
Okay. Honestly, he's the guy I'm looking at, and this is not just because of the behind the scenes type stuff that John Gruden provides for his quarterback camp, but he's the guy that I would want based on where the Steelers could be drafting a quarterback and for the upside that you have at that time. So we'll see. I want to give you a quick opportunity to plug top 30 visits. You've been doing those for SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Who's been coming in and what's the latest buzz? They're wrapping these things up. They're over 20 visits, so they only get 30 of these things. I would imagine they would wrap up next week.
Yeah, I think they're on their 26th reported visitor now of the 30, 25 or 26. So yeah, they're definitely wrapping these up. But what I'm very intrigued by, Jeff, is just the litany of position groups that they've brought in across the spectrum for drafting. So at this point, I don't know. I thought I was pretty sure even a couple weeks ago that it was going to be a defensive tackle or a wide receiver in the first round. Now, I really don't know. I think they're really going to approach this whoever falls to them in the first round. Whoever's the best value pick there is going to be the guy at defensive tackle, quarterback, wide receiver, or running back. Something like those four positions, maybe even safety in that list. So, but when I look at the most recent guys that they brought in, Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon, I would be absolutely thrilled if he was the pick at 21. Jeff, he is an incredible prospect. You talk about Amarian Hampton out of North Carolina, who's getting a lot of buzz, even as high as Dallas. If Ashton Genty goes number 6 to the Raiders or number 10 to the Bears, then Hampton could draw interest as high up as 12 to the Cowboys, who really need a running back. And the Broncos will be in that race as well. But if he were to fall somehow into range for Pittsburgh, I think that they would be happy to have him on their roster as well. And we knew about Ollie Gordon. He's the one that came in, though, with these two Oklahoma State running back. He's a 4th, 5th round guy for me. Big body, kind of a bulldozer type back, kind of in the mold of a Najee Harris. He might be the closest to Najee Harris from an athletic profile of any of the backs in this class. So, and then RJ Harvey is the other mid-round running back that they brought in out of UCF. He'd be a change of pace guy no matter what you're using him for, whether that's pairing him with Jaylen Warren or, making him the future type option. But the Steelers are looking at all of these guys, and it's really intriguing. I'm at the point, Jeff, 2 weeks out from the draft where I just wanted to get here so the speculation ends and we can see what happens.
There you go. I love it, man. Why don't you, and by the way, anyone that's listening is like, how do I see a list of who they've brought in for the top 30 visits? I do the NFL tracker, the NFL pre-draft visit tracker on SteelCurtainNetwork.com. It's on there right now if you want to go check it out. Jeremy's been doing the individual write-ups, which are all linked in that tracker. So go check that out. But Jeremy, go plug what you're doing, whether it's on the written side or podcast side.
Well, we'll have some more draft visits articles coming up. Obviously, I'm going to be submitting the Andrews and my top 32 players in the draft tiered, and we'll get that in hopefully on the written side here soon. And then the Draft Dynasty podcast, we're rolling through our draft prep, 3 more shows before the draft. So tune into those. The Steelers Fix was a lot of fun. It was a shorter show, but we talked about the quarterbacks. Are the Steelers really considering a first round quarterback? We dove into those guys and then kind of, much like the discussion here today, kind of went through our preferences of how the Steelers should handle the quarterback position. So a fun show, even if it's a short one. And then follow me on X at @thebets93.
All right, man. I love it. Thanks for your time, Jeremy. As always, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Masters. We'll talk next week.
Have a good one, Jeff.